Oh, right, I am getting sent out on another one. And this one is to a college that is local to where our batch plant is. And this particular college is building, or at the time was in the process of building, a brand new softball field, I believe it was. Now you wouldn't think there'd be a lot of concrete in a softball field, but it is. There was probably a couple hundred yards worth of concrete sent here over the course of the summer. They would mostly order 10 or 20 yards of concrete every day for different footings. There were fence posts, there were various areas of curb, there was block fill. The majority of the concrete ended up going into sidewalks, however. They kinda juked me a little bit on this one. This is actually one of the first loads that went here, but not the very, very first load. I had made the very, very first load to this job, and the construction entrance they were using was a little further down the street here, and then to the left. They had switched that to this entrance right here, which in hindsight may be obvious, but I was just going to where I went before to enter the job site. But irregardless, on this particular day, they were pouring a footing for one of the dugouts. So I believe I had 10 yards on at the time. I did a good chunk of the footing, and they called it a balance. I think it was another 10 yards, if I remember correctly. But here we go. So as you can see here, it's a pretty beefy footing that they have built. Pretty wide, pretty thick. They have stone for a sub base, which is fine. And lots of rebar. And they also have the rebar sticking pretty far out of the top of the footing. Now it's set up this way because each one of those uprights would line up with the open cells of a CMU type block that the dugout would be then built out of. But it's pretty annoying to pour a footing this way as a driver, because you have to work around all the rebar. If your chute gets caught on one of those uprights, you could move the entire rebar cage around, and then you would screw everybody over, and they'd have to reset it. So you just gotta be super careful. You have to kind of work in and out of the rebar. It just is what it is. These guys always moved right along at a pretty quick pace. They also had a vibrator handy at all times, of course. So in the case of the footings, they pretty much just vibrated the concrete level, and it would just flow around wherever they needed it to. On this job all summer, every load was also tested, or at least one load a day was tested. So there's a tester floating around here, which I, gave him a wheelbarrow worth, and then he did his thing.
7.1 air.
Okay.
It's normally 5.
5? Okay.
So what I'm doing now is giving the fence post company that's here setting fence posts a bucket full of concrete. Generally, throughout the whole project, the fence post company was floating around, and when the concrete truck showed up, they would, request a little bit of concrete here and there to set some fence posts. The concrete was all being bought by the same project, air quotes, so it's not like they were really stealing anything or whatever. It's just this is how they organized it. Alright, so that was that for that one. Nice beefy footing. I brought there 10 yards, then they called in a balance. I believe it was another 10 yards for the rest of the footing. Lots of rebar to work around. Nothing really special otherwise. The job site is, as you see, pretty tight. There was usually shit everywhere. There was always other pieces of equipment moving around all over the place. Lots of people as well, also crammed into a very small place. But other than that, it was a pretty good project to work on all summer. People there were nice and easy to work with. Didn't give anybody a hard time really. And now we have have taken part a little bit in another project here at this college in the grand old town of Springfield, Massachusetts. So as I head away, I'll let you take in the sights.